Welcome everyone to another episode of Your Lab Central. Today I have with me Albert. So Albert, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about this conversation today?
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm really glad to be here. And I think it's important just to, have, just important conversation. And the one thing I would really say is to kind of like just live your truth in a sense and be yourself. And the important thing is, even if you're sharing your message and trying to put yourself out there, if you're not true to yourself, it's going to be hard for you to be truthful to other people, for other people to, take you at your word
Hmm. Right?
in a sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Being truthful to yourself is something that I've been trying to implement, right? Getting there over a period of time. But how have you been spreading this message, getting in touch with people and sharing this message and
Well,
helping
I
them?
use a lot of social media, whether it's through like, podcasts or even putting clips up on social media,
Mhm.
putting posts up. I use a lot. I write a lot for like LinkedIn and Substack, including like articles about,
Mhm.
overcoming imposter syndrome, overcoming self doubt, and that's sort of like what I do. And plus, I wrote a book last year,
Mhm.
um, called Rise Above the Script, which helps people deal with like visibility, rejection, reinvention, and all of that. That really comes out.
But just wanted to understand, where did this journey start from? Where did you start? And was it something that just came as a part of your journey, or was it some realization that you had, no, I should be helping people with this specific problem?
It was a thing that kept coming up. Now for over 20 years, I've been working with actors as
Mhm.
a talent agent, and that's what I do as my full time job. Is I represent actors for film, TV, theater, commercial, and written voiceover. And the one thing that I kept coming up, the theme that kept coming up was self-sabotage and self-doubt. And like really actors being their own worst enemy.
Mhm.
That was the biggest thing that kept coming up, that kept the theme that kept like recurring.
Mhm.
And so this was like really my first, emphasis, like I was noticing 20 years ago. And as well as just in general, like I also have taught, several classes over the years at the collegiate level, community college level. And I noticed even a lot of students were self-sabotaging or living or not really fully believing in themselves.
Mhm. So,
And
yeah, sorry, go on, please.
well, the main thing that just kept coming up was the theme of self-sabotage, like holding yourself back, being
Mhm.
your own worst enemy, getting in your own way.
Mhm. So, just want to understand, when you go working with students, trying to help them with this, what's the first step that you help them with, as in taking the first step towards this, right?
Well, the first step is with anyone is having them begin to realize that maybe they are taking a step back.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they are holding themselves back. So the biggest thing is education.
Okay.
Really educating yourself that this is a possibility, that this might be happening. So that's the first thing we want to do. The first thing we want to do is get a person to realize or to understand what's happening
Mhm.
and coming up with insight to know that this is a problem
Mhm.
or this is a thing that might be holding themselves back. So once you kind of know that, then you can, start to develop changes and start to change it. But a lot of people don't even realize that it's they themselves that are holding them back. Now, it may be easier to think that other situations will be holding you back,
Mhm.
other people, but in reality, it's really just about yourself,
Mhm.
and it's really yourself being your own worst enemy.
So, obviously, there is the fact that a lot of people are just holding themselves back. and trying to make them realize, yeah, that yeah, this is actually a thing and not just a possibility. Just from the perspective position where the mind frame changes from no, this is not possible, I can't be holding myself back, to thinking, yeah, this could be a possibility, and then realizing that, yeah, this is the reality, right? That I am the person holding myself back. This journey usually involves not just one step, but multiple phases, and I don't know, denial or something of that sort. How do you deal
Mhm.
with that?
Well, the thing is that we would start to point that out, like because a lot of times when people self-sabotage, what often happens is they'll talk themselves out of opportunities or talk themselves out of doing something that
Mm-hmm.
can actually help them out. So, I would take a stock of what actions a person was going to take
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't take or that they put off because of maybe fear or not being comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That would be the first thing I would notice. I would work with is why is this happening? And what's really going on here?
Okay. Now, if somebody were to go out, like specifically, let's take your specialty where you've been working with actors, for
Hmm.
whom it is very important to go out on stage and not just hold themselves back, uh, or just people who are going out to speak, right? Getting on a stage and not fumbling, right? Like probably I am right now, but where does this journey? I know I'm probably going back, but this journey starts from not just realizing, but taking the step towards repairs, right? Uh, if you understand what I mean.
Hmm. A lot of it starts in childhood, where um, maybe you had a critical parent
Hmm.
or a teacher who kind of just always put you down
Right.
or teased you or ridiculed you,
Hmm.
just to a point where you feel that you're just inadequate no matter what you do.
Hmm.
It's like you'll never get to achieve what you want
Hmm.
because you were told that you were not, smart enough
Hmm.
or not productive enough.
Okay. So yeah, there's that one point where obviously
Mhm.
childhood trauma is something that
Oh, absolutely.
that a lot of people suffer. I mean, just have so much trouble coming out of. So we have to have a lot of, I don't know, people have therapy, people have friends, finding that right group of people who support you into this whole process, right? Now you mentioned your book, right? So how does this book help people with this? Is it like you're getting a lot of good feedback for that?
Oh yeah, I mean, because what I do is I have a lot of steps in the book. There's a lot of actionable feedback in there,
Mm-hmm.
and just a lot of actionable things in there that you can do. And some of them is just like stepping outside your comfort zone
Mm-hmm.
is the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. But isn't it like getting people out of their comfort zone is the biggest task that needs to be taken care of? It's like because self-sabotage exactly starts at the point where people are not comfortable going out of their comfort zone. Uh,
It's just a lot of it is just the first thing is just stepping outside of your comfort zone by doing something different, because a lot of times we're so rooted in routine.
mhm. Yeah. So you talked about your experience with social media, sharing your message, right? What's your favorite social media platform that you like to go on and share your message? Is it like TikTok, Instagram, or
I would say it's mainly Instagram and LinkedIn.
uh-huh. Why specifically those two?
Well, it's just where most of the people that I follow are on there.
Okay. And
And with LinkedIn, the reason why I like LinkedIn is I can have more deeper conversations there.
right.
Um, Whereas Instagram, it's great for catchy things,
Mhm.
or even shorter clips, but LinkedIn is really good for longer content.
Uh-huh. Now, when it comes to LinkedIn, right, there's, as you mentioned, there's scope for deeper conversations, longer conversations, right? So people are just there. I don't know if professionally people are there, but how are people actually reacting to psychological or just things that they want to discuss, right? Are people open to the idea of discussing mental issues on a professional platform?
Yeah, I would say the main issue there
Mhm.
is just becoming aware of it, that it's possible.
Right. Okay. Now, but on Instagram, people are a little more open to the idea, Instagram or TikTok per se. People are just a little more open to the idea where they're going like, uh, I'm looking for either catchy stuff or emotional stuff, right? Uh,
Yeah,
they go out and put some comment or either trash talk or they do good talk. Now, how you
yeah.
feel?
Um, it's sometimes it really depends on what your attention is. I mean, there's people that are just looking sometimes just to create drama. If they go on social media
Mhm.
by looking for trash talking thing, whatever that is. But a lot of times people are just not. People just also want to go and get inspiration, and that's why there's such thing as influencers on social media
Mhm.
because they're looking for inspiration.
Yeah. And how's your journey been in giving people this inspiration?
Well, I think it's been somewhat successful. I mean, I think the idea is to be consistent and to keep going and keep posting, and
Mhm.
that would be my advice for anybody is just to be consistent in posting.
Mhm. And for the fact that I know I'm not specifically able to come up with something, but from your experience with actors per se, they have like this requirement these days for an actor to become a social media content creator or an influencer by default. Sometimes some content creators actually go out to become actors, and some actors by default become content creators, right? How is this transition working out these days? Is it?
Well, I think it's integrating both.
Hmm.
Now not everybody who's a content creator is an actor.
Hmm.
So and not every actor is a content creator. But if you're an actor, you're kind of able to have that improvisation, maybe be able to connect more and be more comfortable on camera, which can then help you amplify your reach. But a lot of times you have to also look at what type of content you're creating. Some people just do, crazy stunts on social media, and that's content creation in their eyes because they're curating stuff out there.
Yeah.
Um, Now, some movies had attempted in the past to try to cast influencers
Hmm.
because obviously they want the sales. Somebody that
Yeah.
has a large following, that means they're going to promote the movie. The the thing that they kept running into a lot was just because someone's an influencer or content creator does not mean they know how to act
That's
in a
true.
camera or act, read a script. So there was that issue there.
Hmm.
So now I think if you can be both, be a content creator and be a trained actor, you have a strong advantage.
Hmm. So, from your experience of engaging talent in the acting industry, right? What is the different spectrum of actors that you've seen? Uh, if you'd like to share. Uh,
Well, I've seen some actors that are, very kind of like fearless, and then others that kind of may deal with their, like kind of hold themselves back or that they'll downplay their achievements.
mhm,
So it can sometimes be a variety. Sometimes you'll see a lot of actors in different capacities.
mhm. But when it comes to was it downright downplaying their own achievements, or was it just would you call that humility? Because just sometimes people do that.
I would say if I notice people are doing this a lot, it may be a pattern.
All right.
When you say downplaying would be like, like, oh, you got the role. Then somebody went, they may turn around and say, well, they did it because they like me, or they did it to be nice. I'm like, but you're downplaying your success right there.
Mhm. And has it has this been a pattern where people who are downplaying or just trying to be humble are not able to get the right roles in the future?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, because what happens very often when you start downplaying yourself, you're not gonna play full on out when it comes to auditioning.
Mhm.
And what that means is when you actually go and give a full performance, it's not going to be your best work.
All right. Mhm. Now, again, I'll go probably ask you a little more about your experience, right, with actors
Mhm.
in the industry. If you had to share some tips from the actors that you've engaged with, and if somebody is a budding actor trying to go from, say, being in plays to being on screen, how is this transition to be taken? Say,
Well, the important thing is that there's different types of acting. I mean,
mhm.
most actors and their traditional training is trained in stage, in
Yeah.
theater. That is like the traditional acting training, and which is great because that really requires a lot of work on your end because if you're on film you can stop it, you can edit it, you can do another take. Where theater, it's live. There's no doing a second take or a second scene, and of that. It's just it's right in the moment. So it really helps you get be a better actor to do stage. But the difference is on the performance side, when you're a stage actor, you're projecting your voice loudly. You because you're in an audience of a theater, and you're able to you have to project your voice and maybe use more gestures, like over the top gestures to get your point across. When you're on camera, the camera catches everything, so you have to be a lot smaller and act smaller when you're on camera,
Uh-huh.
which means more subtle
Mhm.
and not be so over the top. Because if you're too theatrical, it's going to come off on camera as being phony.
All right. Mhm. And have you seen that methodical actors or somebody who's been on stage have been more successful than somebody who's directly come on screen? Is there a ratio or something of that sort?
No, I mean, I would say it's definitely a lot of successful screen actors, though, have roots on the stage.
Uh-huh.
Because again, that theater training really helps provide the ability to really act on cue on camera.
Uh-huh. So just want to understand from a layman's perspective, is acting really, I mean, is it a God-given gift or you can actually become a full-fledged actor theatrically?
You totally can. I mean, it's not a God-given gift. It just takes a lot of practice and a lot of training
Hmm.
and a lot of perseverance and discipline.
Hmm. And how is this different from going back to content creation? When you're on the small screen just grows larger and your emotions are more visible, right? On a bigger screen, you're on, say,
Hmm.
the the bigger screen. I don't know what to call it exactly, but your emotions are more clearly visible, and you're not just playing theatricals on a small screen. Uh,
Hmm.
So if a content creator had to go out and become an actor, would they just have to take theatrical training, acting training, or
Oh
could,
yes, they would have to do the acting training because, like I said, it's a completely different thing, and it would also depend on what type of content they're creating because the word content creation could be in anything.
yeah, that's right. Now, I know I've seen dancers, I've seen content creators like probably us who are doing podcasts, who are doing interviews.
Oh, yes.
So there's a full spectrum of people doing the different types of content, right?
Mhm.
What is the type of content that you put out? I forgot to ask. What's the type of content? Is it like,
Mainly podcast interviews I've done. Sometimes I'll break it up into short clips
hmm
and post those, and then I'll write sometimes an article based on what we talked about in the podcast.
uh-huh.
And that'll put out on like LinkedIn. I also use again Substack and the site called Medium.com to post the articles.
hmm So is there a method to your writing that you mentioned, right? Using Substack and you're using another tool for writing articles. Is that something you would want to share that other people can also implement?
Well, the main thing is to come up with a theme, a topic, an
Mhm.
outline of like what you want to say for. Then after you come up with a topic, come up with an outline
Okay.
of what you want to cover and the points you got to cover, and just speak from the heart. Definitely, obviously, I'm going to be bringing in my psychology background, but the important thing is to speak from your heart.
Mhm. Now, you, you just mentioned your psychology background. How has this specifically helped in your experience, engaging with actors,
Well,
writing a book, and things like that?
it really helped me understand the human condition more, and I think
Mhm.
in certain aspects it enabled me to be more patient with actors.
Uh-huh. Uh, why did you specifically mention that it helped you be more patient with actors? Yes.
Because well, every actor has their unique personality,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of different personalities. Some actors can be, very, high on the neurotic scale where they have a prone to anxiety,
Mhm.
which they may come off as appearing needy.
Okay.
But I don't like to use the word needy because it's just more reassurance.
Uh-huh.
And I think understanding that, or just understanding how to talk, to different people, because everyone's different personality, you have to, kind of talk to people differently depending on their personality.
Um, Random question, two questions. How many actors have you engaged or nurtured over the past 20 years?
Oh, definitely in the thousands.
Okay. And okay, I just forgot the other question that I was about to ask. Uh,
Okay.
no, but yeah, it's just that over the actors that you've engaged, any specific trait or a specific story that you want to tell us? That memorable story.
Yeah, I mean, there was one person, I still work with her now as a client. She's part of my agency. But when I first met her, she was in an acting class for about 10 years. And she has a very successful job outside of acting. She works in a department store chain is in the merchandise department, and she's making great money. She has a great, following at work. And when you speak to her off camera, she has a very type of gravitas and groundedness to her that really, signifies power.
Right.
And but when she was performing or trying, acting scenes, her voice went up very high, like a high pitch, and it became very submissive,
Mhm.
which is not going to work. So at least for her brand and her type. So the one thing that we kind of worked with her with was to apply her personality
Mhm.
outside of the camera to the character she was playing.
Okay.
And it took a while, but once she was able to do that, she was able to start, securing more work.
Mhm. So is that a thing? Like your off-camera personality, you usually go out and look for characters that are similar and rather not go and waver from your personality type.
No, I mean not always, but like, and I'm not talking the characters could be the same, but the way you approach a character
Uh-huh.
should be similar to your personality, not necessarily the character itself.
Uh-huh.
The character itself can be anything, And sometimes even the most memorable performers, the character and the actor are completely different.
Mhm. Okay. So, Albert, thank you so much for this conversation. It's been an
Of
amazing.
course, thank you for having me.
So before we close, where can people get in touch with you and know more about you?
Of course, LinkedIn and Instagram, so you can just find me under Albert Bramante. I'd be happy to connect. Send me a message and we'll talk. If you want to work with me, I can jump on a call with you really quickly.
Mhm. So thank you so much for joining in. For the audience who's been listening and watching intently, if you liked what we talked about, do leave a like. The comment section is always open for suggestions or perspectives or something that you want to add to the conversation. And don't forget to subscribe before you close. Thank you so much, Albert. Thanks. And thanks to
Thank,
the audience as well.
thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for having me.
Thank you.